You know how some nights start normal and end up changing everything? This was one of those nights. My wife had been talking about her high school reunion for months. New dress, hair appointment, the works. She kept mentioning all these people I'd never heard of like they were celebrities. Oh, you'll love Jessica. And wait until you meet Brad. He was so funny back then. The way she talked about it, you'd think she was going to prom again instead of a bunch of 40-year-olds trying to prove they hadn't peaked in high school. You'll come with me, right? She asked while trying on her third outfit of the evening. I need my handsome husband there to show off. Handsome husband. Those words would come back to haunt her. We took an Uber to the hotel ballroom. 20 minutes of her fixing her makeup in the back seat and reminding me of names I'd forget in 5 minutes. The driver just rolled his eyes at me in the rearview mirror. We both knew the drill. The moment we walked in, something felt off. She immediately lit up, scanning the room like she was hunting for someone specific. Her whole posture changed. Shoulders back, smile bigger, voice higher. Oh my God, is that Jennifer? She grabbed my arm and practically dragged me across the room. Here's where it got interesting. Jennifer, you look amazing. They hugged like they'd been separated by war, not 20 years of Facebook stalking. And this is... She paused, looking at me like she was trying to remember my name. This is my date for tonight. Date, not husband. Date. Jennifer smiled politely and shook my hand. Nice to meet you. Her husband, actually, I said, extending my hand firmly. We've been married for 8 years. The silence lasted exactly 2 seconds too long. My wife's face went through about 5 different expressions. Jennifer looked confused. I just smiled. Oh, wow, I didn't. Jennifer started. Don't worry about it. My wife said quickly, shooting me a look that could cut glass. Come on, let me introduce you to some other people. She pulled me away before Jennifer could respond, her grip on my arm tight enough to leave marks. What was that about? I asked quietly. What was what about? I just got excited and misspoke. Misspoke. Sure. We moved through the crowd, and I watched her work the room. Every introduction was the same. This is my companion for the evening, or my +1, or just my first name with no explanation at all. Never once did the word husband come out of her mouth. I wasn't stupid. I could read the room, but I wanted to see how far she'd take it. Then he showed up. Brad. The famous Brad from all her stories. Tall, still had most of his hair, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. The way her face changed when she saw him told me everything I needed to know. Bradley. She practically squealed his name. He turned, saw her, and his face broke into this megawatt smile. Well, look who decided to show up. They hugged. Not a friendly hug. Not a good to see an old classmate hug. This was a, I've thought about you every day since graduation hug. I stood there, watching my wife turn into a teenager again. Brad, this is... Another pause. Another moment where she looked at me like I was furniture. My friend. Friend. Brad extended his hand. Brad Morrison. And you are? The husband, I said, shaking his hand with enough pressure to make my point. Nice to finally meet you. I've heard so many stories. The look that passed between them could have powered the hotel for a week. Husband. Brad's eyebrows shot up. I thought you said. Misunderstanding, my wife said quickly. We were just catching up. But Brad wasn't letting it go. So you're married now? That's great. How long? 8 years. I answered, since my wife seemed to have lost her voice. 8 years, he repeated, looking at her like she'd betrayed him personally. Congratulations. The conversation died right there. My wife was fidgeting with her wedding ring, spinning it around her finger like she was trying to decide whether to take it off. That's when I knew I wasn't dealing with nerves or excitement about seeing old friends. I was dealing with a woman who had already mentally checked out of our marriage. The question was, what was I going to do about it? I didn't have to wait long for my answer. The DJ started playing some slow song from their graduation year, and Brad held out his hand to my wife like I wasn't even there. Here to dance. For old time's sake. She looked at his hand, then at me, then back at his hand. I could see the wheels turning in her head, trying to figure out how to say yes without looking like a complete piece of trash. I don't know. Maybe I should ask my... She started. Friend. Brad finished with a smirk. I'm sure your friend won't mind. Right, friend? He was testing me, seeing if I'd be the type of guy to roll over and play dead while he danced with my wife. Wrong guy, wrong night. Actually, I said, stepping closer to them. Her husband minds quite a bit. The energy shifted immediately. People around us started paying attention. My wife's face went white. Excuse me, Brad said, like he hadn't heard me correctly. You heard me. That's my wife you're asking to dance. And married women don't slow dance with other men. It's called respect. Maybe they didn't teach that at your high school. My wife grabbed my arm. Can we talk privately for a second? No need, I said, loud enough for the growing audience to hear. This is pretty straightforward. You introduced me as your friend, your date, your companion, everything except what I actually am. So let me clear it up for everyone. I turned to face the small crowd that had gathered. I'm her husband of 8 years. We have a joint bank account, a mortgage, and anniversary dinners every June 15th. In case anyone was wondering, the silence was beautiful. You could hear the ice clinking in people's drinks. Brad cleared his throat. Look, man, I didn't know. Yes, you did. She told you I was her friend, and you decided to pursue a married woman anyway. That says everything about your character. My wife was pulling on my sleeve now, whispering, "Stop, and you're embarrassing me." Embarrassing her. That was rich. I'm embarrassing you. I turned to face her. Sweetheart, you introduced your husband as your friend to a room full of people. You accepted a slow dance invitation from another man, but I'm the one who's embarrassing you. Brad stepped forward. Hey, maybe we should all calm down here. Oh, we're calm, I said. Very calm. In fact, this is me being incredibly calm, because if I wasn't calm, we'd be having a very different conversation. The threat was clear. Brad backed up half a step. My wife was mortified. Please, can we just go home? Home? I laughed. 5 minutes ago, you couldn't remember I was your husband. Now you want to go home with me? How does that work exactly? She didn't have an answer for that. The crowd was getting bigger. Former cheerleaders and football players, all watching the drama unfold like it was halftime entertainment. One of the women, blonde, expensive dress, clearly the type who lived for gossip, stepped closer. Wait, so you two are actually married? But earlier you said. Earlier she was pretending to be single. I finished. Apparently, having a husband cramps her style at high school reunions. My wife's face was red now. Stop talking. Just stop. No, I said. I don't think I will. See, I came here tonight to support my wife at her reunion. Be the loving husband, meet her old friends, maybe hear some embarrassing stories about her teenage years. I gestured around the room. Instead, I got to watch her deny our marriage exists and accept date invitations from other men. So no, I'm not going to stop talking. Brad tried one more time. Look, this is all a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I cut him off. She knew exactly what she was doing. Question is, what am I going to do about it? The room went quiet again. Even the DJ seemed to sense the tension and let the music fade out. My wife looked scared now. What do you mean? I smiled at her. Not a friendly smile. Not a loving husband smile. A smile that said I was done playing games. I mean, darling, that you wanted to act single tonight. So let's see how that works out for you. I turned and walked toward the bar, leaving her standing there with Brad and half her graduating class watching. Time to show everyone what a single woman's husband looks like when he stops caring about being polite. The bar was my staging area. I ordered a whiskey neat and turned around to survey the battlefield. My wife was still standing where I'd left her, whispering frantically to Brad while stealing glances at me. Other people were pretending not to stare while absolutely staring. The drama was better than anything Netflix had to offer. That's when I spotted them. Ashley Clark and Morgan Whitfield. I remembered these names because my wife had spent years complaining about them. Ashley thinks she's so perfect with her little boutique business, and Morgan always had everything handed to her. They were standing by the dessert table, looking exactly like the kind of women who'd made my wife insecure for 2 decades. Stunning, confident, and based on the way they were checking me out, very much available for conversation. Perfect. I walked over with my drink and that easy confidence that comes from not giving a damn anymore. Ladies, I said, raising my glass slightly. Having a good time reliving the glory days? Ashley laughed. Is that what we're doing? I thought we were just trying to figure out who got fat and who got rich. And who got divorced, Morgan added, eyeing my wedding ring with interest. Funny you should mention that, I said. Mind if I join you? I seem to have been temporarily abandoned by my date. They exchanged a look. Ashley smiled. Your date? Not your wife. Well, that depends on who you ask, I said. According to her, I'm just the friend she brought along for company. Morgan's eyebrows went up. That's cold, even for a high school reunion. Right? I mean, 8 years of marriage, and I get introduced as my companion for the evening. I shook my head like I was genuinely confused. Women, am I right? They both laughed. Ashley moved closer. So you're saying you're technically available for conversation? I'm saying I'm a free agent until further notice. And just like that, I was in. Ashley was telling me about her interior design business. Morgan was showing me pictures from her recent trip to Italy, and I was being the charming, attentive man my wife had apparently forgotten she married. The best part? I could see her watching from across the room. The panic in her eyes was growing by the minute. So what do you do? Morgan asked, touching my arm while she talked. Corporate consulting. Boring stuff mostly, but it pays well enough to keep my wife happy. I paused. Sorry, my friend Happy. I keep forgetting the new terminology. They thought that was hilarious. Ashley leaned in closer. You know, I always wondered what happened to the good ones from our class. Guess they married outside the gene pool. Smart move, Morgan agreed. These local guys peaked in high school. I glanced over at Brad, who was still trying to console my wife. Some of them certainly seemed to think their best years are behind them. Oh God, you mean Brad Morrison? Ashley rolled her eyes. He's been hitting on every woman here like he's still quarterback of the football team. Including married women, apparently, I said. Morgan's jaw dropped. Wait, he hit on your wife? While you were standing right there. Asked her to dance. Real romantic, slow song, and everything. Very respectful of the marriage vows. What a pig, Ashley said. What did you do? Reminded him that married women belong to their husbands, not to every guy who peaked in 12th grade. They were both looking at me with something approaching admiration now. Good for you, Morgan said. Most guys would have just stood there and taken it. I'm not most guys. The DJ started playing something more upbeat, and Ashley grabbed my hand. Dance with us. Show your wife what she's missing. Now, I could have said no. Could have been the mature, responsible husband and gone back to try to salvage the evening. But where's the fun in that? Why not? I said. After all, I'm just here as someone's friend. Friends dance with other people all the time. We moved onto the dance floor, right in my wife's line of sight. Ashley and Morgan were both excellent dancers, and they made sure everyone knew I was the center of their attention. My wife looked like she was about to have a stroke. Brad was trying to get her to dance, but she kept shaking her head and staring at me. The tables had turned completely. Now she was the one watching her partner flirt with other people. The song ended, and Morgan grabbed my arm. Your trouble, she said with a grin. The good kind, I hope. Ashley laughed. Definitely the good kind. Your wife's an idiot if she doesn't know what she has. I glanced over at said wife, who was now marching across the dance floor toward us with murder in her eyes. Well, I said, looks like we're about to find out exactly how much she knows. Time for round two. She stormed over like a woman possessed, but had to stop short because Ashley and Morgan were still standing right there. You could see the calculation happening in her head. How to reclaim her husband without admitting he was actually her husband. Having fun? She asked through gritted teeth. Absolutely, I said. Ashley and Morgan here were just telling me about their businesses. Very successful women. Very independent. My wife's smile looked like it was carved with a knife. How nice. Can I steal you away for a minute? Actually, we were just about to get another round of drinks, Morgan said, linking her arm through mine. You don't mind, do you? The beauty of the situation was that my wife couldn't object without revealing our relationship status to the two women she'd spent years being jealous of. I'm sure your friend won't mind sharing you for a few more minutes, Ashley added sweetly. My wife's face cycled through about 10 different shades of red. Friend, that's what you called him earlier, right? Morgan's voice was pure innocence. When you introduced him to Jessica? Caught. Completely and utterly caught. I decided to help her out. It's okay, sweetheart. I know how confusing these things can get. Tell you what, why don't you go enjoy the rest of your reunion? Dance with Brad, catch up with old friends. I'll be right here getting to know these lovely ladies better. The endearment was deliberate. Sweet enough to sound caring, pointed enough to twist the knife. She leaned in closer and whispered, We need to talk. Now, do we though? I whispered back, because according to you, we're just friends, and friends don't make demands on each other. Her jaw tightened. Stop being ridiculous. Ridiculous? I straightened up, speaking at normal volume again. Ladies, my friend here thinks I'm being ridiculous. What do you think? Ashley was enjoying this way too much. Ridiculous how? For talking to us. For enjoying the company of beautiful, successful women who actually appreciate my conversation, I said, looking directly at my wife. Morgan laughed. Oh, we definitely appreciate it. It's refreshing to meet a genuine gentleman for once. My wife was trapped. She couldn't make a scene without looking crazy, and she couldn't drag me away without explaining why she had that authority. I'm going to get some air, she said finally. This room is feeling a bit crowded. Good idea, I said. Take your time. I'll be right here when you get back. She shot me one last murderous look and stalked toward the exit. Brad started to follow her, but she waved him off. Apparently, even her backup plan wasn't working out. Ashley shook her head. That woman has serious issues. You have no idea, I muttered. The next hour was actually fun. Genuine fun, not the forced politeness of accompanying a spouse to their high school reunion. Ashley and Morgan introduced me to other classmates. We shared stories, laughed at the ridiculous drama that inevitably happens at these things. I was reminded of what it felt like to be with people who actually wanted me around. Around 10:30, I checked my phone. No messages from my wife. She'd been outside for over an hour and hadn't bothered to check on me once. That told me everything I needed to know. You know what? I said to Ashley and Morgan, this has been amazing, but I think it's time for me to head out. Already, Morgan looked disappointed. The night's just getting started. Trust me, for me, this night peaked about an hour ago. I pulled out my phone. I'm going to call an Uber. Can I get numbers from you both? I'd love to stay in touch. They practically fought each other to give me their contact information. Ashley leaned in as I was putting her number in my phone. Call me if you ever get tired of being someone's friend, she said with a wink. I'll keep that in mind. I found my wife outside by the hotel entrance, sitting on a bench and staring at her phone. She looked up when she heard my footsteps. Ready to go? She asked, like nothing had happened. Actually, I already called an Uber. Should be here in about 3 minutes. She stood up. Good. We need to talk about tonight. We. I shook my head. There's no we in this conversation. You made that pretty clear when you introduced me as your friend. I was nervous. I made a mistake. Multiple mistakes, I corrected. And they weren't nervous mistakes. They were choices. The Uber pulled up, a black sedan with an older driver who looked like he'd seen everything life had to offer. I opened the door and got in. My wife stood there for a second, then climbed in after me. Where to? The driver asked. I gave him our address, and we pulled away from the hotel in silence. But the silence didn't last long. Our driver had opinions, and he wasn't shy about sharing them. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror about 5 minutes into the ride. The tension was thick enough to cut with a butter knife. Rough night? He asked. My wife stayed quiet, staring out the window like the suburban landscape was fascinating. I was done with silence. You could say that, I replied. Ever been to a high school reunion? He chuckled. Oh yeah, 25 years ago. Never again. What happened? My wife spent the whole night flirting with her ex-boyfriend like I wasn't even there. Sound familiar? I could feel my wife stiffen next to me, but she still didn't say anything. Very familiar, I said. What did you do about it? The driver, his nameplate said Frank Martinez, adjusted his mirror so he could see us better while driving. First time? Nothing. Figured it was just nostalgia, you know? People get weird around their past. First time? Oh yeah. She pulled the same routine at her college reunion 2 years later. That time I wasn't so understanding. My wife finally spoke up. Can we not discuss our personal business with strangers? Frank laughed. Lady, I drive Uber on weekends. I've heard every piece of personal business you can imagine. Yours isn't even in the top 10 for weirdness. I leaned forward. What did you do the second time? Filed for divorce the next Monday. Best decision I ever made. The silence that followed was deafening. My wife was looking at me now, probably trying to figure out if I was getting ideas. I was definitely getting ideas. How long were you married? I asked Frank. 15 years. Thought we had something solid, you know. But here's what I learned. A woman who disrespects you in public doesn't respect you anywhere else either. That's harsh, my wife said quietly. Frank glanced at her in the mirror. Is it? Let me ask you something, miss. If your husband spent a whole evening telling people you were just his friend, then danced with other women while you watched, how would you feel? She didn't answer. Exactly, Frank continued. But somehow when women do it, it's supposed to be no big deal. Just harmless fun, right? It wasn't like that, she said, but her voice had no conviction. Sure it wasn't, Frank said. I bet you were just nervous. I bet it was all a misunderstanding. I bet you never meant for it to happen. The accuracy was brutal. I could see her shrinking into her seat. Here's the thing about marriage, Frank continued, warming to his subject. It's not complicated. You either respect your partner or you don't. You either act like you're proud to be with them or you don't. There's no middle ground. People make mistakes. My wife tried. Mistakes are when you forget to pick up milk on the way home. What you did tonight, that was a choice. Multiple choices. We were getting close to our neighborhood now. I could see our street coming up in the distance. Frank looked at me in the mirror again. You want some free advice, brother? I'm listening. Don't waste 15 years like I did. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. He pulled into our driveway and put the car in park. That'll be $18.50. I handed him a 20. Keep it. And thanks for the advice. Anytime. Good luck, man. You're going to need it. My wife got out first and headed straight for the front door. I lingered by the car for a second. Frank, can I ask you something? Shoot. Do you regret the divorce? He laughed. Not a bitter laugh, but a genuinely amused one. Brother, I regret not doing it sooner. I wasted years trying to fix something that was never broken. It was just wrong from the start. Thanks, man. I needed to hear that. Take care of yourself. And remember, you can't love someone into respecting you. I watched him drive away, then turned toward the house. My wife was standing in the doorway, waiting for me. Time for the conversation that would end everything. But first, I had some packing to do. I walked past her into our house without saying a word. She followed me, closing the door behind us with more force than necessary. Okay, let's talk, she said, arms crossed. What was that back there? I headed straight for the bedroom and pulled out my overnight bag from the closet. What was what? Me enjoying the company of people who actually wanted me around. You were flirting with Ashley and Morgan right in front of everyone. I started throwing clothes into the bag. I was being friendly. You know, the way married people act when they're proud of their spouse. Don't be dramatic. It wasn't that bad. I stopped packing and looked at her. Wasn't that bad? You introduced me as your friend. Multiple times. To multiple people. Then you accepted a slow dance from your ex-boyfriend while I stood there watching. I was nervous. Seeing all those people again, it brought back memories. Yeah, I could tell. Especially the memories of when you were single. She sat on the edge of the bed, trying a different approach. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I handled it wrong. But we can work through this. I zipped up the bag and tossed it by the door. Then I went to my dresser and started pulling out more clothes. Where are you going? Her voice was getting smaller. Miami. My beach house. You remember, the one I bought before we got married? The one that's been sitting empty except for the occasional Airbnb rental. You can't just leave. Actually, I can. See, that's the beautiful thing about being someone's friend. Friends don't owe each other explanations when they decide to take a vacation. I grabbed my laptop bag and phone charger. Besides, you seem to be having such a good time acting single tonight. Now you can actually be single. I wasn't acting single. I turned to face her. You introduced your husband of 8 years as your companion. You flirted with your ex-boyfriend. You accepted a dance invitation from another man. You spent an hour outside avoiding me while I talked to other women. You were the one talking to other women. After you made it clear I was just your friend for the evening, I figured if I was going to be demoted from husband to friend, I might as well enjoy the benefits of being single. She was starting to panic now. This is insane. You're throwing away our marriage over one night. I walked over to my nightstand and opened the drawer. Inside were our important documents, birth certificates, social security cards, insurance papers. I took out my half and left hers. I'm not throwing away anything, I said calmly. You threw it away when you decided being married to me was something to be embarrassed about. I was never embarrassed. Then why couldn't you say the word husband? Why did you introduce me as everything except what I actually am? She didn't have an answer for that. I went to the bathroom and grabbed my toiletries, tossing them in with the clothes. The whole process took maybe 10 minutes. 8 years of marriage, and everything that mattered to me fit in 2 bags. That should have told us something right there. So what? You're just going to Miami and that's it? No discussion, no counseling, no working things out. I stopped at the bedroom door. What's to work out? You showed me exactly who you are tonight. You showed me how little respect you have for our marriage and for me as your husband. One mistake, multiple mistakes. And Frank was right. They weren't mistakes. They were choices. Frank, the Uber driver, you're taking marriage advice from a stranger. I'm taking advice from a man who lived through the exact same situation and learned from it. Unlike some people, I picked up my bags and headed for the front door. She followed me, getting more desperate by the second. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I'll do better, I promise. You had 8 years to do better. Tonight was your final exam, and you failed. I opened the door and stepped outside. My car was in the driveway where I'd left it that morning, back when I thought I was married to someone who respected me. How long? She called after me. I turned around. How long what? How long will you be gone? I looked at her standing in the doorway of our house. The house we'd shared, the life we'd built together, the marriage she'd casually tossed aside for a few hours of nostalgia. I'll send you my new address when I figure out where I want to live permanently. The divorce papers will be filed Monday morning. You can keep the house and the memories. You can't be serious. Dead serious. You wanted to act single tonight. Congratulations. Your performance was so convincing, I believed it. I got in my car and started the engine. Through the windshield, I could see her standing there in her reunion dress, finally understanding what she'd lost. As I backed out of the driveway, I rolled down the window. Oh, and sweetheart, next time you go to a reunion, you really will be single. So you won't have to pretend. The drive to Miami was going to take about 4 hours. 4 hours to think about the life I was leaving behind and the life I was driving toward. For the first time all night, I was exactly where I wanted to be. Free.